Welcome to another edition of Latino Talk TV, filmed right here live in the East End, Houston Media Source. Every Monday at 6 p.m. we're live. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We have two very special guests today, and the first guest I'd like to introduce to you is Abel Garcia, who is an entrepreneur and has written many books. And the book that he has and that he's going to be talking about today is called Downsized: Market Yourself Back to the Top. The best book written on how to create a personal and powerful marketing portfolio. Abel, glad to have you.
Chris, thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure to meet you and to be able to talk about careers.
Absolutely.
Career and opportunities.
So let's get right into it, Abel. So what compelled you to write such a book?
You know, I had been in the retail business for many years, and obviously you have to market, your business. And I was in the Dairy Queen business, and we did a lot of marketing and so forth. Everything from hanging flyers on windshields to television. And so when I got into the executive search business in '96, I thought there must be a way that you can market a person like a product. And so I worked with it for several years, and finally I came up with the idea that when you build a box around text or a picture, it becomes advertising. So I began to build pages in the resume in color, such as where are you in the organizational chart in your company? And we would actually draw an organizational chart in color inside of a box, and here's where I am, here are my peers, here are the people that work with me and for me. And so it became a hit in that 4 years after I started in the search business, I broke away and I started my own search firm. I called it Abel, Fuller, and Zettler. Abel, A-B-E, is first in the alphabet. So again, from a marketing standpoint, I thought that'd be a neat way to go rather than Garcia. So right away, the employers that we were looking for candidates just loved it, because we would turn in 7 or 8 pages in color, very descriptive about the candidates. And so my searches, or our searches, would close in 4 weeks, as opposed to other executive search firms that took 2 or 3 months. And so one of the things that I didn't realize, Chris, was that when we did this portfolio, what we do is we have the person give us information, and we build this 7 or 8 page in color portfolio, if you will, brochure about who you are and what kind of product you are. Is that I didn't realize, but I began to see that, as I say in the book, the caterpillar was becoming a butterfly. People would get empowered. Wow, this is me. I now have a tool. And they wouldn't go to an interview anymore. They'd go to a presentation of product me. This is what I have to offer to you, Mr. Company. This is who I am. This is what I can do, and this is how I can do it, and show it in very descriptive way. So it became a hit for the candidate, for the company, and for the search firm.
Well, I'll tell you what, on the company side, if you are a HR person that's putting money into trying to find the right person for your company, being able to cut down that time from months long to a few weeks, that's a win-win for the candidate,
right,
as well as the company. That's awesome.
Right.
Now, what you're describing to me sounds somewhat like a brag book. Have you heard the term before?
No, I haven't.
So I hadn't either, but I was talking with a buddy of mine who's a recruiter, and he said, a lot of what my recommendations are for candidates that are looking for employment is to go above and beyond, obviously, but through the form of a brag book. And the brag book is similar. You take, for example, if you're in sales.
Oh, a brag book.
A brag book, yeah.
Bragging about yourself.
Bragging about yourself.
Okay,
so would you say that's similar?
It's very
accumulate
similar.
Newspaper clippings or old reports, maybe pictures of your awards that you've gained by working for that company. Is that something?
It's kind of the same way, except what we do here is we show a project. For example, if I was involved in a major project, how did that project work? Tell it to me, step by step. So we do a flow chart. This is what we did in step 1. This is how I was involved in step 2, step 3, step 4. So you go through the actual project that you do that will coordinate with what the company's looking for. So they actually see, they're able to see rather than hear. Everyone is very visual.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of that thing. The brag book is good. Anything that you can add additional. One just tip, if you'll just change the color of your resume, put it in a box and just put it in dark navy blue. That differentiates yourself from the rest. And again, that's what you're looking for. You're looking to, how can I reinvent myself?
Yes.
How can I get away from the pack and be be special, because we all are special. We just have to find the way.
You know, it's so interesting, Abel, because you literally are a number nowadays when you're looking for employment.
Right.
I mean, there's so many different search engines catering towards recruiting. Monster.com. You have LinkedIn. You have Indeed.com. All of these different avenues that one can put in a resume,
Right.
and that's just the first step and really the whole battle that you have to have, because not only, let's just say you're more qualified than someone else, but you have a resume that's not up to par. The person that has taken read your book might have an edge on that person just because of the graphic highlighting and the nature of how it's formatted. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, nowadays with technology, it's almost very difficult, I would say. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult to really get a recruiter to give you a call back. I mean, that's just from my experience.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. Having been a recruiter, all the resumes look the same. They're in black and white, and they're 2 pages, and God forbid 4 pages. This differentiates this type, or any type of differentiating, sets you apart from the rest. So the thing of it is that you have to be able to, once you do this, you're empowered. You're empowered because it's you, and because you provided the information. I provided the system for you to provide the information, and it's in color. So right away, it's a real hit. I'll tell you a brief story, if I may. I did a portfolio for a young man that was looking for work. He was an engineer, and he did the portfolio. He loved it, and he went back and applied because the job he had applied for a year previously, they rejected him. Well, when he went back, they said, "Wow, something has changed about you," and they offered him the job because the guy who had gotten the job previously quit. And so they offered him the job, and he rejected it. He rejected it because he said, "I'll give you a counter offer. You can hire me for $5,000 more." That's how empowered he became, and he got the job. How empowered he became, and so it's I think I mentioned to you when I went to copyright the book, they said, "No, you have to patent it. This is an invention. Nobody has ever been able to create a marketing concept for any type of discipline, whether you're an engineer, whether you're, a doctor, or whether you're a lawyer, or whether you're, accountant." And so it's worked marvelously. And it's not about me, it's all about you. It says how to market yourself to the top.
Back to the top. So what are some of the other techniques or insights you can provide us with without giving away the full deal here?
Well, the first thing is the portfolio. Get to know who you are, get confident about who you are, because that's what it takes. An employer can see, he can see your eyes, and he can see you're nervous, and he can say you're not confident. You need to be confident, you need to be bold. Secondly, you need to put a marketing plan together. If you send your resume to the black hole of websites, it's going to go there. If you send it to somebody, to the company's webpage, it's going to die, it's not going to go there. So the second step is how to market yourself. You go from the shortest distance between 2 points, it's a straight line. If I'm an engineer, I'm going to send my portfolio to the director of engineer. I'm going to send my portfolio to the vice president of engineer, because everything flows better from the top to the bottom. Mm-hmm. So that type of marketing is very proactive. You go out and you buy the Houston Business Journal and you get all these lists and you say, well, I'm going to call this company and this company. And you also send it overnight to whoever you're sending it. And you can send it 4 days overnight so that it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, but that's the most important mail a person receives. So if you send it to the vice president of engineering, he's going to say, well, here's a overnight, right? It must be important.
Sure.
So you give the portfolio the importance it deserves. And lastly is you don't go and interview. You go and do a presentation of who you are and what you bring to the company. You basically go on offense. You say, Chris, may I tell you a few things about myself when the interview starts? Is Chris going to say, no, of course not. So you get this portfolio out, you give him a copy or her a copy and you a copy, and in about 5 minutes you go through the thing. And then you say, now I'm ready to answer any questions you may have. And so recruiters or company interviewers aren't accustomed to being approached that way. Wow, what do I have here? And one last thing, be bold. After the interview is almost over, ask the person who's interviewing you, why, can you tell me, if you would please, Chris, if you were me, why would you come work here? You see, now you're putting the shoe on the other foot, right? Wow. Now he's got to sell you on why they want you. And it's a 50-50 deal. The company needs an employee and you need a job. You don't need to go feeling like, I hope they hire me.
Sure.
They have to hire
Mindset
somebody.
is so
Why
important.
not me? I've got this portfolio that says I'm great at what I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So confidence is very important, and you get it by doing the portfolio and by being proactive in your job search. I'm helping an environmental engineer right now, a lady, and she says, I just can't seem to get my thoughts together. She got her thoughts together. And now I need to do this. And I said, well, finding a job is a full-time job, and you have to go out there and you have to make it happen. You have to be resourceful. Go and find who the engineer and associations are. Find out who the president is. Get
some
a direct
networking.
contact. Exactly.
Yes.
So it's a three-phase thing. You do a portfolio, you do a marketing plan, and then you go and you present product me, not interview.
It's like the old adage on sales. You can't. 100% of the time you will lose a sale if you don't ask for it. If you don't ask for the business. And you hear right here in the interview section, you talk about controlling the interview and asking for the job.
Correct.
And I cannot tell you how many times I've done that and been very successful. And it does work. It absolutely does. It shows that you are confident,
Right.
and it shows that you're not timid. And really, I feel a lot of the interview style and just interacting with people in general is a lot about just your own relationship with that person.
Right.
If you can create a relationship with that person, if they like you, people want to buy from people they like.
Right.
People want to hire people they like. What are your thoughts about that?
It's interesting what you just said. When I ask folks to go and do their interviews, just think, that person who's interviewing you, at one time, they too are looking for a job. So it's a common thread, right? They too are looking for a job. And so it's good to just, not to be arrogant, but to be confident and to be able to speak and ask questions. The company will always ask you, the interviewer, so you have any questions? You should have questions. Here's the deal. I'm coming and investing my time. I'm either leaving a job. How do I know that this job is the right one? See, so it's very important that you get as much information as possible, that you're making the right decision. It's not just the company, are they making the right decision? Are you making the right decision? So it's good to be proactive. I would rather be interviewing a person that's questioning me on why this is the right thing. Well, hey, when I hire him, he's going to be questioning everybody about how my business is going to be running. And so it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be bold. It's a good thing to be confident. It's a good thing. Here's the thing. If they won't hire you, next. It's a numbers game.
Absolutely.
It's a numbers game, and sooner or later you'll find the person that appreciates somebody with your style of being confident.
And it's so important to keep your spirits up. I mean, you get rejected. I remember fresh out of college, it was interesting because I graduated and at my school of business, everyone there was a 4.0, 3.5 student, get 3.5 or above, getting all these great jobs, at General Mills, Pillsbury, all sorts of, Fortune 500 style company offers. And I didn't have that good of a GPA, so I went on these field trips to these corporations, and I would do these mock interviews. But ultimately, I myself in my mind felt inferior because I didn't have that 3.5 or above. But really, it's just so mental, and that's really the truth. I mean, if you can just air it out there and just say, hey, you know what, I enjoyed myself in college. I hung out. I partied a little. I'm a well-rounded person,
right?
And the interesting thing is that I graduated and I didn't have the grade. Right. In my head, that's what I made the story. But when I came to Houston to move back with my family and I started interviewing, it was the exact opposite. I was too qualified for the level of jobs that were available at that time. Mind you, this was 2008. A lot was going on in the economy. The housing bubble, had already popped. But the interesting thing is that, your self-worth, it shines out. It radiates amongst people. And so just be yourself. Be confident, people. So let's talk a little bit about, before this book, you mentioned you had a string of Dairy Queen franchises. Tell me how that all came about, Abel.
Okay. Before I forget, you mentioned something that was very important. I give a lot of speeches, and the first thing that I say, always ask for what you want. It's a 50-50 chance. I have so much stuff that I've asked for just because I wanted it and I asked for it. But getting back to your deal, came to Houston in the late '70s. Went to school for 4 years at night. Got an AA. Got stuck on the AAs, and then I went to work for Dairy Queen. Worked for Dairy Queen for 12 months.
AAs, what are those?
Associate of Arts. I'm sorry, Associate of Arts. I went to junior college, the University of Houston downtown.
And before you moved to Houston, where were you?
I was in a little town next to Victoria called Port Lavaca.
Okay, yeah.
I graduated out of Port Lavaca, a little 10,000 population town, still 10,000, I think. Great little town to grow up in. So anyway, came to Houston, went to school for 4 years at night, became a manager of Dairy Queen for a year, got recruited from a Dale Carnegie course, and then I became a district manager of 8 Dairy Queens for about 4 years, and a division manager, 24 stores, for about 2 years, and then I bought 8 Dairy Queens. I was ready to go into business and do this for myself. And during the 20 or 25-year time that I was doing this, I owned anywhere from 15 to 7. I bought and sold a couple of Mexican restaurants, got involved in the construction part. I wanted to be a real estate guy, so I bought some houses for rental. And then I got into the deal about the executive search. I wanted to build a chain of taquerias, but I wanted to build them like a McDonald's or a Burger King, not like I'd build the mom and pop Dairy Queen. Although I love the Dairy Queen business, but so I went to work for Burger King. For Burger King after many years as a manager trainee, because I wanted to learn, and I learned a lot. Those guys are really professional, and so I got recruited from there to go run a restaurant. And the guy said, "You should be my restaurant guy." And so here's a book and here's a phone, and how do I get paid? All commission. Great. Ooh. I've been in business for that. You can make 6 figures. The first year I made 16,000. And so my back was against the wall, so I created, there must be a way of marketing. There must be a way to shortcut things. I looked on the internet. I couldn't get anything. So I created my own style of getting candidates. I'd interview great candidates. They'd interview great with me, and then they go with the employer and they fall flat on their face. And so I said, there must be a way. And so that's where the book came from. I started adding pages. I started adding color, and it started to work. It started to work where these candidates were empowered. And what happened was that I'd present the 3 top candidates. One would take the job and the other 2 would leave their job, because they now knew that they could go somewhere else where they'd be appreciated more and grow. So that's kind of how it evolved. After that, I've done a lot of nonprofit work. I've been on, 6 or 7 nonprofit boards. Just love the opportunity that God's given me to do all these wonderful things.
Yeah, talk a little bit about your heart of service. What drives you to serve your community? Being a Hispanic, right? I grew up poor, like most of us grew up poor, and I felt that at a certain place that I had now learned some things that I could help my community. With a high school principal, Miss Emily Cole, I do at Davis High School a thing for 10th graders called Becoming Tomorrow's Leaders. It's a 3-day seminar, and then we follow them for the 3 years. And we had 0 dropout. Half of them graduated in the top 50%, and half of those in the top 5%. Univision came down and did a reproduction of what we do. It's very unusual. It's not educational. I walk with weights every morning, and so I taught kids about affirmations, about doing things, about loving their teacher, about loving their parents, about what it meant, how powerful they were. They don't understand how powerful they are, because us adults will bend over backwards if you show a spark. So I've done that before, and that's very rewarding that I'm able to help these kids that are very poor to become somebody. 2 of the girls got pregnant on the way to the 4 years, but one graduated 9th in her class, one in the top 50%. Wow. The little girl who couldn't speak very much English in the 8th grade, she took that program and she graduated as salutatorian for her class. Now, that didn't mean that because we did it. Sure. We gave her a spark. We gave her hope. We gave her an opportunity. So what do I get out of it? I get a lot of satisfaction that all the good things that I've been blessed with, I can share with my community. Education is the most important thing. It is absolutely the most important thing to our community, to any minority community. We have to educate ourselves. We have to follow the Vietnamese model. They came here. Well, they came here in the 70s, and they worked, they worked the little restaurants, and then they got big restaurants, and their children became engineers, and they became architects, and they became doctors, and so forth. That's the example I think that we need to follow. And when I say we, in the minority communities, let's learn from people that have succeeded. Mm-hmm. So
I'm a very strong proponent of education. I'm a very strong proponent about don't wait for somebody to do it. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Make it happen. Make it happen. Be resourceful. Don't pity me kind of thing. Go out
Absolutely
and do it.
not.
Go out and do it and make it happen. We're in the best city in the world and in the best country in the world where we can be who we want to be.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the land of opportunity. And,
Yes.
and, many immigrants come here, migrate from whatever country they came from.
Yes.
They make something of themselves. And it's so interesting to see some people that are here that aren't necessarily doing that themselves, and I'm going to stay away from like political side of things, but there's a huge immigration issue,
Right.
in the United States, and there needs to be some reform, some type of reform. But if everyone can just value themselves and contribute, I feel we'd live in a better place.
I think if everyone will have an entrepreneurial eye, an entrepreneurial spirit. If you're a welder, you can become, you can have your own welding shop. If you're a carpenter, you can have your own construction shop. Or you can be a top-notch construction person. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to be a doctor. You just have to say, I can be successful in my own way, what I enjoy doing. If you, as they say, if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, right?
Yep, that's
and
exactly.
so you just need to just be proactive and be positive. I'll share this with you that I tell everybody. You're responsible for what kind of day you have. If you wake up in the morning and say, this is going to be a great day, it will be a great day. You decide what kind of day you're going to have.
I 100% agree with you, Abel. It's the strangest secret. You become what you think.
Yes.
And if you wake up in the morning and you're thankful, you pray, you say thank you for everything that you've given me. You're going to have a better day than if you don't, and you say, oh my goodness, it's God. I've got to go to this job again. They don't pay me enough money. They don't. The people there are just drama, and you're already setting yourself up for failure. You're not necessarily failure, but I believe in the law of attraction. I've said it many times on this show. You put out to the universe, and the universe gives back to you.
Right.
Yeah, it's in a book called The Secret. It's also a movie on Netflix if you want to watch it. But I will kid you not. I tried this for a good month, and now on occasion I need to still do it. I find myself having to remind myself. But every day within that month, I was thanking and saying this is going to be a great day. I'm going to make this appointment. I'm in sales. I'm a sales consultant, so a lot of it is the numbers game, but a lot of it is the energy you're putting out. And I would go into these appointments or these prospective clients of mine. I'd go into their offices and I'd bring cookies and I'd just be friendly.
Yes.
And it was a win if I got a name. It was a win if I got an appointment. It was, and I kid you not, I was salesman of the month for that month. And I didn't even sell anything. It's just I had lined up so many appointments. I had surpassed people that had been in the company that were making, all sorts of deals, closing deals. But it felt great to really put it into practice, what you just said. If you think that you are going to have a great day,
you will.
Own it, and you will. Absolutely. Yeah. So this book here, Market Yourself Back to the Top, the best book written on how to create a personal and powerful marketing portfolio. Where can we get one of these?
You can go to my website. But the best place to go is you can go to Amazon under my name, Abel R. Garcia, or Market Yourself to the Top. And I have 4 ebooks, one of them that's similar to that, that will, you can buy it from $3.95 to 99 cents. It's very inexpensive.
Very inexpensive.
And I have a website that I have a blog that probably has 70 common sense ways of getting a job, a promotion, or making career change. So just look at Amazon under my name, Abel R. Garcia, and you'll find the 4 ebooks. And again, they're very common sense. They come from an executive recruiter, and they come from a person who's been in business. I've been an employer, and I've been a person that puts people to work with employers. So I think from that common sense, I keep things very common sense. If you'll, as you notice, the book is in color, has a lot of drawings, has a lot of things on there, and so it's very easy to read because we're trying to make it as simple as possible to understand.
Absolutely. And you said you had some audiobooks as well?
No, I'm working on that.
Ebooks.
Ebooks.
What other ebooks do you have?
The ebook, it's Market Yourself to the Top, and then I have Market Yourself to the Top, especially for the working woman.
Now that's an interesting perspective there. What qualifies you to write something like that, one would say?
Well, I've helped a lot of women's groups before. I've been in a lot of groups. I raise money professionally, so I've helped raise money for Hispanic women in leadership and other ladies. And so, my best managers were women, always. So I always admire women and what they do. They own it. They become, it's just like, hey, this is mine, okay, you go ahead and do it, and just ask me, call me when you need me. and so they're much better. In my case, they were much better managers than the guys were.
Oh, that's
they
awesome.
just owned the deal.
What's in the next couple years, 2-3 years?
Well, I want to write another book, Market Yourself to the Top, especially for the graduates, because young graduates have a problem. They're not accustomed. We can market a product and market a service. We can't market ourselves. It's just very difficult to do that. So I'd like to possibly have a television show like this. I'm going to inquire because I'd like to have This Is Your Career Corner or Abel's Career Institute, where I can answer questions. I love being able to share, to help. And, just call in any questions and we'll handle it. We'll make it happen.
Awesome. Well, I definitely enjoy the conversation that we've had here.
You've been
Abel.
a great host.
Well,
Chris.
thank you. I mean, it's definitely been conversational, and that's what I like about this talk show. You're going to be a natural when you get yours. We're going to go ahead and take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to talk about something a little bit more touching on the female side, and it'll be geared towards domestic violence. I have Dr. Terrell with us that has a nonprofit, and she's going to talk a little bit more about that. So we'll be back in a minute. Well, well, well. Welcome back to Latino Talk TV. I'm Chris Ochoa, your host for the evening, joined by Mr. Javier Perez, who is fashionably late. I tell you that Houston traffic.
Folks, it's live TV, and sometimes the boss needs you to stay after. So,
Hey.
so I'm sorry.
How
sorry.
was your weekend, Javier?
It was great, man. Had a fantastic weekend.
Yeah?
Great weekend.
Watch
yes.
any football? Any?
Of course,
baseball?
man. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I saw the Texan game. They finally played like a team. Finally came out of that funk they were in.
Good weekend of sports in Houston. Actually, Rita and I caught the Astros on Sunday.
Yeah.
And they won, so it broke the curse. Rita said every single time I go to an Astros game, they lose. And she mentioned that, and we were up by 3 runs.
She mentioned that before you walked in.
You need to
get the heck out of here, Rita.
We're winning.
So now we know it's not Rita, my wife. My wife's name is Rita, by the way. So joining us for the second half, we have Dr. Connie Terrell. She is the president and founder of a nonprofit called Fresh Spirit Wellness for Women.
Yes,
Welcome.
yes.
Thank you for coming to the show and joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you guys have an event coming up next month, October 31st.
Yes, we do.
Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. It's called the Legacy Awards and Gospel Concert, and it is our signature fundraiser. We do several fundraisers. We do a walk and some other fundraisers, but this is our signature fundraiser to benefit women who are physically and sexually abused. And we have chosen about 40 ladies. We're calling them our survivors to Cinderellas. And they're from different safe homes, shelters, as well as some who've already left those safe homes and shelters and starting over now. We are dressing them because it's a formal gala. So,
Nice.
yes, we want to dress them, and we are having their hair done and their makeup done.
Wow.
And they will be Cinderellas for the night. But more than that, when Cinderella, the night of the ball, her life changed after the ball.
That's true.
So that's what it symbolizes. We want to change their life going forward.
What a great theme. What a great theme, Dr. Terrell.
You know the old saying, you gotta kiss a lot of frogs before you meet your handsome prince.
That's right.
Wait, which Disney was that? Was that Cinderella? I thought that was a
I think that was
slipper.
Snow White.
That was a slipper.
Well, it's the same thing.
That was
Man. It's the
so-
same thing.
No, I hear you, man. So it sounds like a lot of people are coming to support this cause, which is a worthy cause, by the way.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about how you got involved in doing this sort of thing, Dr. Terrell.
Well, actually, I am a survivor. And so, praise God, I've been out for 20 years now. But years ago, I married someone who turned out to be physically abusive.
Wow.
And when I looked at myself as someone who would have never gotten into that type of a relationship or marriage. I did all the things that I thought were the right things. I met the parents and, we dated a while. And so it just seems like if I could have gotten myself in this marriage or abusive relationship, anyone
Yeah.
can. And, most people say you don't have the support. It has to be someone that didn't have support in their lives or they grew up in an abusive household, and I was none of that. So I looked at it as kind of being the myth.
You hear that, it has to be, someone lacking in education, which
Yes,
of course you were not.
even that, yes. So
I would have never, if you'd been the last person I would have thought that had been in that type of relationship.
Yes.
But that just shows you I guess the misinformation and misnomers about domestic abuse.
Exactly.
It can happen to anybody.
It's right, and that's why I do what I do, to bring about that awareness, because you're right, it can happen to anyone. And that was an eye-opener to me, because
Wow.
I'm like, wow, I was none of those things that I even myself thought would precipitate someone being in an abusive marriage, and so I wasn't. I actually wrote a book because God kept saying, you have to tell your story, for the simple fact, just like he said, nobody could see it. Nobody would know it if I didn't talk about it. So
Can't have a testimony without a test,
without a
right?
test.
Wow, yeah, absolutely
That's right.
So do you work on aside from? It sounds like there's to talk about the victims a little bit. You meet
Yes,
them.
yes.
How does that work? Do you go out there and go to the safe houses, or is there some type of connection through a church? Or
Yes, both connections through churches,
Okay.
Also the shelters and the safe homes, and even doctors. You would be surprised at medical doctors, the women that come in and they can tell that they've been abused. And a medical doctor she won't have time, or he won't have time to go through any kind of therapy or counseling with them, so they refer them to me.
Wow.
Even attorneys, family law. because getting divorced or some type of family law, usually sometimes they can tell, the divorce attorney can tell that there's been some type of abuse.
Social workers, any social workers?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And
How
just,
often are
just word of mouth.
Sure, sure.
So what advice do you give ladies, or for that instance, it could be a man that's
right.
in that situation?
That's right.
Where do you start? Where
Well,
do you start with them?
one of the things that I tell people all the time is that you see the red flags and you ignore them. Hindsight is 20/20. I tell people, they say, well, didn't you see the red flags? I was like, no, I didn't. But now, not only did I see red flags, Chris, I saw a whole marching band and twirling batons.
Wow.
And I saw
flames
everything.
coming out the tunnel.
Thanksgiving Day parade.
Beating drums.
My goodness.
Everything. So what I try to do is help women to identify what those signs look like. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she mentioned that she had gone out on this wonderful date, and she was enjoying herself. And she, as she was telling me about the date, she said that when she got ready to order her food, the guy took her menu and said, she'll have this, and this.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's a flag in my opinion.
It is. But she thought, oh, wow, this is, chivalry.
Oh, sure.
He's very.
See, that's what I would have thought.
Yeah, see?
'Cause I always thought that it's always good to order for the lady, but I always thought that what you're going to have and then you order.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. I could see that playing out. Yeah.
She's going to have the Happy Meal.
With water, no ice.
Go ahead, supersize.
Supersize that water.
Well, first of all, if you're having a date at McDonald's, you probably need to up your game,
So, yeah, exactly. And I explained to her, no, that's not chivalry. That's a form of control. You can already see it early,
Wow.
So there's different signs you want to look for. And one of the major signs that you want to spot in an abuser is that they rush the relationship. They want to get married very quickly. They want to be in a committed relationship very quickly. And typically women, we don't want to not be in a committed relationship.
Sure,
so that sounds like a good thing to us.
A good man right
yeah,
there. Yeah,
exactly.
He wants to get married.
Yeah.
And have a family.
Right. But usually that's a huge sign because they want to rush it before you get to see those signs.
Right.
It's only so long they can, pretend to be Dr. Jekyll when they're Mr. Hyde,
Reference.
That is
Reference. Who's that by? What is it? Is it a movie? It is a movie. I heard that before.
Dr.
Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Oh, that's the movie, right? Oh, there you go. Okay, cool.
But you know what,
I need to watch
Doctor,
it, by the way.
that is so true because you meet people in your life experiences, and we happen to have some experience with a guy like that, and I remember that this guy was always getting engaged. I mean, he was somewhat of a cad, and I don't think he was so much an abuser, but he would take these women for all they had.
Right.
And he would rush that relationship in. Before he knew it, they were engaged. I'm like, this guy's engaged again.
Right.
I said, I'll half a mind to go warn the lady, hey, stay away from this guy.
But the characteristic is the same. You said he wasn't an abuser, but he was a user.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing because abusers and users have that
Manipulation, yes.
that manipulative trait. So it's the same type of characteristics.
Yeah.
So what are some of the trends, Dr. Terrell, that you, in your experience, have seen? Is there a certain trend where you have the abuser, let's just say you deal with the domestic abuse with females. So does the abuser normally have this kind of demographic, this background? He didn't have a father. This is just kind of the things that coming off the top of my head, but perhaps and you can shed some light on, some of these trends, if there are any trends.
Right.
Maybe there aren't.
Yeah.
Well, usually the trend is that they have numerous, like he said, numerous relationships or numerous marriages, bad marriages, some bad relationships. A lot of times they have been abused themselves. Or neglected themselves. In my ex-husband's case, like I said, when I drove up to meet his parents, my in-laws at the time, they were sitting in a big, beautiful house, and they were sitting on the front porch, and they were both rocking in rocking chairs, and he had lemonade, and she had tea, and I'm thinking, wow, I hit the jackpot. 'Cause you're raised, you're raised to look at the parents, and they had been married for years. But what I did not know is that the father had been extremely abusive to his mother and the children. and that by this time they were elderly, so they just had grown out of it.
Sure.
And back in those days, women didn't talk about it as much, and they didn't get out of their marriages because of domestic violence, and so they had just lived through it until he was just too old to really, abuse her anymore.
It's a difficult situation because just kind of referencing the older generation, very very traditional, so to speak, and you have marriage, which is a sacred thing, and especially in Christianity.
Exactly.
And it's difficult because you have a husband at this point that is abusive, and what do you tell the spouse?
Yeah, it is difficult because that was one of the reasons why I stayed in my marriage as long as I did. And that's one of the reasons why other women, I'm looking at the camera because I know other women do it too. And so I want them to know that, we go through a lot of, especially as a Christian, like you say, God doesn't like divorce, and, you don't want to leave a marriage.
Sure.
And so, but I tell a lot of women, he doesn't like abuse either. He doesn't ordain being abused either. And so you want to make sure that even if that person wants to change, you still need to separate from that household. Give them an opportunity to change if they want to. The problem is most abusers don't admit that they're abusers, and you can't change unless you admit that there's something broken.
Sure.
But yeah, I often say that it's really hard when you're married to someone because you want to work your marriage out. Nobody gets into a marriage thinking it's going to, not work out.
Yeah.
So,
Doctor, that really amazes me, and I hate to go back to it, but I've known some of these women that have been in these relationships, and you would think, their level of intelligence, that they would never get involved in something like this, and it amazes me. And these are intelligent, beautiful women that you just don't think would get involved, and it happens. You know what I'm saying?
Stop it.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it just amazes me the kind of rhetoric these guys must have to keep stringing these women along for so long. What was the progression with you, doctor, and what was the last step? What was the last straw with you?
Well, the progression was, again, the control. It got to be a little, today, as a matter of fact, when I talk about the different signs, I often talk about the effects as well. And in my book, I talk about it's Deliverance to a Fresh Spirit. It's a toxic relationship book to how to overcome those the effects of it. One of the things that would happen to me is that, and the effect continued even after the abuse, and I didn't even realize it. If I was late somewhere, I would run in and say, "Oh, Chris, I'm so sorry. The light was out, and then there was a lady walking across the street with these kids," and and I would go on and on about what was happening and why I was late. Well, the reason I did that was because it was an effect from the abuse, because that's what he would do. He would make me account for every time, all the time that I was late. If I got off at 5 and it takes me 22 minutes to get home, and if it's 32 minutes, then what did you do? You see? And so that was one of the things that it started, watching the time, what I could wear and what I couldn't wear. Then not wanting me to work at all. A lot of times they don't even want you to work because what other people don't understand, and I really like to bring it home, because most people say, well, women, just leave, get out. But it's built up. These things have built up. So then you don't want you to work at all, okay? Isolate you more from your family and your friends.
Income too.
Income.
You don't have money to leave.
Yeah, now you don't have money to leave. So all of those things began, and those were the things that happened. And then the final straw for me was the abuse was so bad that I was stomped in my stomach while I was pregnant and lost my child, my unborn child, and was never able to have children myself from that point on. But that was the final straw.
Oh my God.
And had you had any children before this incident? Okay.
No.
Wow.
No biological children.
My goodness. I mean, then that there's so many stories that are similar, and perhaps even
worse.
Worse.
Yes.
With dealing with this sort of domestic abuse, sexual abuse, and I mean, it, again, you just going back to it, you know, you can't have a testimony without a test. And you wrote a book, and you have this great organization that you're passionate about, and you're saving souls. You know,
Yes,
you're
thank you.
touching people, and by the relation piece that
Yes.
none of us can speak on, myself or Javier, unless Pat abuses you. I'm not sure.
Well, she did tell me she didn't want me to work anymore. She didn't want me to work anymore, so you know.
Pat's out in the production room right now, just looking at
see
me.
it.
We need to
She
get a
wants to try
camera
to
out there.
control me.
Well, you know, we was talking about some could be even worse. I want to talk about two of the ladies that we're going to have at the
Please do.
at the Legacy Awards.
Absolutely.
One, she was shot 10 times, 5 times
Oh
in the
my
head,
gosh.
and she survived.
Wow.
And then the other one of our Cinderellas, she was stabbed 22 times, and then he began to try to decapitate her, tried to cut her head off her body, and stopped as the police were coming in, the sirens, but he thought he had already killed her.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yes, so you know, and then we have several families, about 3 families that we're calling them our celebrating the life of their loved one families, because everybody don't make it through, you know, domestic violence. You know, this lady, I don't know if you guys heard this story. Her daughter was killed. She was pregnant, a teenager in Pearland, and was killed by her boyfriend, pregnant with twins. And so she didn't make it. He was abusive, and so he went to prison earlier this year. But we're going to have them there to just honor the
them.
life
Yeah.
of their daughter.
Wow, what a magical event it will be, the Legacy Awards and Gospel Concert. And you have these people here that you're honoring. You have Shirley Strawberry, she's the co-host of the Steve Harvey radio show.
Yes.
So you've got a lot of great people on here.
Yes,
Small Fire, one of America's
She's a comedian. She's
Community
she's actually
gospel.
hosting it.
Oh, very
Small Fire
nice.
is hosting it, and then we have Karen Clark Shears. She's a gospel singer,
4-time Grammy Award winner.
4-time Grammy Award gospel singer. We have Wes Morgan, and then we have 2 local talents here, Mr. Gregory Saxman Daniels and also Joe Carmouche.
Yeah.
And then we've added a guy, Kai Ham. He does a great band, so we're going to have a little after celebration. It's going to be fun. We have the comedian hosting it because we want it to be a nice,
Lively, yeah.
lighten it up a little bit. It's a serious subject and a heavy subject, but we want to lighten it up. And it's Halloween night, and the theme is removing the mask of domestic violence.
Wow, it
And
ties in so perfectly,
Yes, and
everything.
we will be giving out masks as a commemorative gift to everyone. And so it will somewhat be like a masquerade ball.
An evening of elegance, entertainment, and a celebration of life, hope, and victory. Red carpet VIP reception and silent auction at 6, so you guys get there early. You want to walk
That's
the
right.
red carpet.
If you want to walk the red carpet, not fashionably late.
6 p.m. Javier, yeah.
I wasn't throwing, as they say, shade.
And then you have an awards ceremony, dinner, and gospel concert at 7:30. So the
Yes.
attire would be formal black tie gala,
Yes.
black and white. Excellent. And this is on Saturday, October 31st at the Omni Hotel, 4 River Way, Houston, Texas, 77056.
Yes.
To purchase tickets early, visit freshspirit.org or call 713-588-4418.
That's correct.
And is there any other information that you would like to tell the live audience?
Even if you can't make it, we would love to have you come out. But if you can't make it, we need donations. We want to still be able to do all the things that we promised to do for the ladies. We want to give them free counseling and all of that. So we would love for you to go to the website, www.freshspirit.org, and make a donation.
Wow. What a great organization.
Now, have y'all done this in the past?
Yes, this is the 4th one.
Fourth
This is the
one?
first
Okay.
time that we're having 40 ladies, and they're from all ethnicities, even the Latino culture, African American, Caucasian ladies.
Nice. And that's the great thing. It's for, you know, all, and very inclusive, and this is something that affects each and every individual, whether husband, wife, child, parent.
Yep, and like you said, even you know, males are abused, although they don't talk about it as much, and I wish they would. But yeah, even males go through abuse.
What do you tell someone who just doesn't want to say something? To let's just say, you know, they're in a relationship and it's a bad one, those individuals that you might have been referred to by a doctor or a divorce attorney or whatnot that don't want to press charges, don't want to do anything, what tends to happen if they stay silent?
Well, fortunately now you don't have to press charges for the state to pick it up and press charges. And I'm really glad because it's a conflicting thing. This is someone you love who you've got to get over the fact that the person you love is doing something traumatic to you and hurtful to you. Now you've got to, put them in jail. So it's a hard thing. So fortunately, they don't have to anymore. The state will pick it up. But my thing is to help them to understand that you're worth more than that. You're valued more than that. This is something wrong. And this is not love. Although you love that person and you want that person to love you, this is not what love is about, and this is not what love looks like.
Wow.
I tell you, doctor, it just what's the first thing that a person in that situation should do? Do they start getting their finances in order? Should they see a counselor? What exactly should happen?
Well, you definitely want to tell somebody. A lot of times women don't say anything because you try to hide it from your family as opposed to telling someone. You want to tell someone because you need that support. You need that help. There are counseling groups such as our office. You can call us, like you said, 713-588-4418, and we can help you get out of that situation because it has to have a plan. And we go through a plan to help them. The worst time and the most dangerous time for a woman to be killed is when she's leaving. So, and never say you're leaving. We tell them never tell them that you're leaving, because then that's when it gets worse. So there's a lot of different things that they have to do. But tell someone, call, get some help. There's hotlines, 799-SAFE, so that you can have the support. And then if you decide, and when you decide to leave, definitely do it with a police officer there.
Wow.
And has the way that police handle this has that changed over the years, or do they still need a lot?
It's changed a little bit,
Yeah.
but not a whole lot. It's changed a little bit because back 20 years ago, the police would come and say, "Oh, this is a domestic dispute. You guys handle it." And I'm like, "Handle it?
Are you pressing charges? And if not,
take it with
then
you. What do you mean handle it? You handle it. I called you. You're the police." But now, thank goodness, it has gotten a little better, but it's still difficult. It's still difficult.
Well, I want to thank Dr. Connie Terrell for coming on to our show. I mean, you have a great, amazing organization, and you advocate for those that sometimes don't even want to voice their concern. And what a great event that you're having October 31st.
Let's give the website and the phone number again for your organization.
You want to go ahead and pub it out one more time?
Sure, absolutely. www.freshspirit.org. That's www.freshspirit.org. The organization is Fresh Spirit Wellness for Women, and the number is 713-588-4418.
Excellent. You should have a show too. Well, we want to thank all our guests for coming out tonight and filming this live version of Latino Talk TV. We're here every Monday at 6 p.m. and be on time next time.
Yeah, some of us stroll in here about 6:30. But
we also have a phone number and a Facebook page and a Twitter page. So if you want to follow us on social media, you can do that as well. Until next time, take care.